everyone you know. The wait is over. 98.5 Speed FM.
Catch us if you can.
Stay here with you. You are a rainbow, so I am a lucky one. I am a lucky one. You are my favorite song. I am a lucky one. I am a lucky one. I am a lucky one. Seasons change, but you're the same. Your love is constant. You've never lost it. Your voice is calling out my name. It makes me miss you, even when I'm with you. Oh, nobody wants to go it alone, and I just wanna stay here with you. So I am a lucky one. I am a lucky one. You are my favorite song. I am a lucky one. I am a lucky one. I am a lucky one. I am a lucky
A speedy welcome to the show for everyone. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host today on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and you know how we do it on the Speed Lane. It's where we talk about our lives, we talk about families, our homes, our communities, and even the things that affect us as a society in general. Now, today we are looking at something that is becoming very common in many homes, that is children and phones. Why are children using phones too early without supervision these days? Why is it happening? It's everywhere you look. Little children holding smartphones, scrolling through videos, playing games, sometimes even on social media platforms that they are too young to understand. Parents might say, well, I just wanted to keep them busy, or times are changing. Children need to learn technology early. And yes, the world is changing. But is this really the best way for our children to grow? Think about it. When children get access to phones without supervision, they are exposed to content they might not understand. And sometimes they even try to copy what they see online. And it could be the way someone talks, the way someone behaves, or even the gestures they see. Parents notice it and ask, where did they learn this from? Now, this isn't just about phones. It's about how behavior, respect, and even social skills are being shaped today. Children may become impatient, wanting everything instantly, like on their screens. They might struggle to follow rules, argue back, or even imitate bad habits. Some children even pick up disrespectful behaviors, from online videos, thinking that it's normal. So today, let's look at this. Why are children using phones these days too early without supervision? Why is this happening? Do you think that, okay, this is just that times are changing and we are just supposed to accept things the way that they are? And or do you think that okay, it's completely maybe the fault of even parents or even society, or what would you actually blame it on? And how do you think that this is affecting us today? It's affecting our children and even society at large. Let's talk about it, right? Is it just a part of growing up and we should just let it be? And like I said, more importantly, how is this affecting our children's behavior? Or do you think that it's not? Even their respect for others, even the kind of things that they do, the things that they imitate, because people keep asking questions like, where did my child learn this from? Where did this person copy this from? Are we sure we really don't know where they are copying this from? Now, you also can call in to be part of this conversation. And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Why are children using phones too early without supervision these days? Call in and let us hear from you. Tell us what you see around you. Tell us how you actually think that this is affecting the children in maybe different areas. And even if you think it's not, should we just go with the fact that, okay, times are changing? Or do you think that there is more work for parents to actually do because, they might be relaxing, or everyone might be becoming, okay, well, the world is changing, so let's just follow it. But isn't that harmful? And even if you think that it's not harmful, it's not risky, call in and let us hear from you. Whatever way you're looking at it, we want to hear about it today, because we keep asking these questions. Where did this child learn this from? Where did my child never goes out, my children never go out, but somehow they have this kind of behavior, they have this kind of habit. Where did they learn it from? And if you see, back then it was more like, okay, things were monitored because, okay, even on TVs, children would rather watch TVs with parents' supervision, where parents will actually be the one to check what kind of movies they are watching, or even buy different kind of, okay, back then when they used most people use DVDs, okay, they decide what kind of movies children were actually seeing. Hello. They will decide what kind of movies that children were actually seeing, decide what goes to their screens, what goes to their ears. And okay, with a TV, it's easier for you to just see or even hear, okay, this is what my child is listening to, this is what they are doing, and I'm sure what I can do for them. And for some of us, even growing up, like it was where our parents would even hide the remote. This is the channel you should watch. And after you're done watching that, you can come to me and I'll still come and change it for you to what I think is appropriate for you to watch. But with phones, you don't have the remote to do that. All you have to do, maybe for what some parents will care about is, okay, maybe going to sleep and then allowing the child just play with the phone, but don't make noise as long as you're not disturbing me. Well, you can play with the phone. So call in and let us hear from you today. Why are children using phones too early without supervision these days? And how do you think it's affecting us? How it's affecting our children, and how it's even affecting us in general as a society. Number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you today. Why are children using phones too early these days without supervision? Without anyone caring, okay, we have to look out for this child. We have to check what he or she is doing. We have to know. Some parents even think that, okay, this is like a form of distraction, so that they will not disturb me, so that they will not say anything while I sleep. Well, I need to work, so I just have to do this so that my kids would stay away, or they find something that distracts them, right? So, but then how does it affect us? Do you think that it's all good and then there is no problem at all when things like this happen, or do you think that it's affecting them negatively as well? Call in and let us hear from you. Number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. This is the speed lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And this morning on the show, we are talking about children and phones. So why are children using phones too early, even unsupervised these days? And how do you actually think that is affecting them? Hello? Okay, well, we lost that, but then you can still call back again and be part of the show, and tell us why you actually think children are allowed these days, using phones too early, unsupervised, and how you actually think that this is affecting them. Because we keep asking questions, about bad habits, about this and that, and it's time enough for us to figure out, or even stop acting like we don't know where some of these things actually come from. Because most of the time, when parents ask this question, where did my child learn this from? Where did he or she? They never go out. Where did they learn it from? But then you have a phone in the house, and then they have full access to it, right? So how could they not learn something when, social media? I mean, in as much as you get to see some things on social media, maybe some things that might even teach you the right things, then there are other ones, some misleading content, or some of the things that are only meant for just the adult eyes. But what happens when children actually get access to this kind of content, to this kind of things? Then they get confused, right? Because they are only children. And to be honest, children are smarter these days, but then not to the part where they get to understand everything that is right and then wrong. And even if they might know that, okay, this is wrong, well, someone on their screen is doing something, or is doing that particular thing, and then the person is not getting hurt, or the person is getting likes, the person is getting views, and then he or she is just a child and might want to imitate or even copy that same thing that they saw on the screen. So call in and let us hear from you this morning. And we are talking about children and phones this morning on the speed lane. Why are children using phones too early without supervision these days? Number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Why are children using phones too early these days without supervision? Call in and let us hear what you see around, what you see going on, with these children, and maybe even with your neighbors, or even around in general, because no one can actually say, well, they have not seen this happen. We see it everywhere. Hello. Okay, we lost that as well, but do not worry, keep trying, and you would catch up with us. And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Why are children using phones too early without supervision these days? Call in and let us hear from you today on the speed lane. And then I'll talk about one of the main reasons I would like to mention is because parents allow it, because they are children and then they are under your care. And then if something is happening, you cannot say you don't know about it, right? Okay, as a parent, it's possible that you don't get to maybe fish out everything, but then to some extent, you're able to figure out, okay, my children are not here. I've not heard from them in a while. Everything is quiet. Instead of just using that as an opportunity, okay, the children are not here right now. Nobody's disturbing me. Whatever they are doing, even if it's with the phones, well, let them go. Why not make them see something else? Why not make them be busy with something else, or even be creative, with something else, rather than being glued to the screen and then just looking at what people are doing, other lifestyles, maybe from other kids, and even fake stuff, right? And then comparing that to real life and thinking, okay, this is the way to go. You find some disrespectful kids, people saying, okay, maybe parents will say, I told you to wash this plate, since, and you haven't touched them, simply because you are glued to the phone. But then who provided that phone? Which is why I mentioned, okay, it's one of the main reasons why this is happening, because some parents feel that giving a child a phone or a tablet will keep them entertained, quiet, or even occupied. Why they focus on work or other responsibilities. And for some people, is this issue of, okay, loving a child too much. I mean, you cannot overlove your child, but when you allow that love to actually blind your eyes and allow them to do things, unsupervised, or just give them whatever they ask for without you as the adult in that picture actually thinking about how it will affect them long term, or even, getting to the point where it affects everyone in society, then it becomes bad. So if you have just joined us, this is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I am your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. And this morning we are talking about children and phones. Why are children using phones too early without supervision these days? Call in and let us hear from you. And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Why are children using phones early these days without supervision? Call in and let us hear from you. Hello. Hello. Okay, I see that this person keeps trying, but not to worry. Maybe you catch up with us sooner or later. So keep trying. Do not give up. And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you this morning on the speed lane. Why are children using phones early these days without supervision? And how do you think that this is affecting them? How do you think that is affecting us in general? And what would you actually say we should do about it? Would you say, okay, maybe it's time to for everyone to start saying, well, no phones any longer for kids, when they have already touched it, when they have already seen how it is, they have already seen other kids, actually using these phones. They have already experienced, how it is. Hello.
Hello, good morning, sister.
Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
My name is Abenga Solomon, speaking with you in George's Quarter.
Welcome to the show, Mr. Solomon.
Thank you, ma. Man, please, for me, to more children are using of giving them phone to use as it's not very good to me.
Okay.
Yeah, because the children are learning some other bad things through the phone. Because there are some other things you store in the phone. It's not good to the children to even know about it. But when you are giving them the phone, they will, when they are using it, will be storing of other things in the phone. And they're telling others, their friends, in the source of the things that are in the phone.
Okay.
So for me, I think that is not really actually good.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Solomon, for calling in to be part of the show this morning. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and we are talking about children and phones this morning on the Speed Lane. So why are children using phones early these days without supervision? Why do you think that this is happening, and why how would you say it's actually affecting us? So you also can call in to be part of this conversation, and the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. It's 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you. Why do you actually think that children are allowed to use phones early these days without even supervision? And how would you say it's affecting them? How would you say it's affecting even the parents? Because when something affects your child, it surely comes back to you. And before you know it, it's all over in society. So call in and let us hear from you. And we heard from Solomon, and he is saying that is something that is he considers very bad because of how it affects the children. Because there are, when it comes to even going to social media, going online, there are a lot of stuff that, okay, maybe only adults are able to differentiate that this is a bad stuff. Even looking at it, I cannot be influenced by something like this. But children are children. No matter how smart they are still children. And then getting onto these things, they might misinterpret or try to maybe even imitate and take on some of those things themselves. And Mr. Solomon also spoke about, some things in the phones that you might not want your child to see. Imagine even secrets or even things, concerning themselves, and then someone, they take it and start sharing with their friends, even making you gullible to an enemy. Hello? Hello? And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That's 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and we are talking about children and phones. So why are children using phones too early without supervision these days? If you're in a place where there are a lot of children, tell us what you see in regards to our topic, and then how would you say this is affecting them? how would you say that it's actually influencing them, from the things that they do, the way that they talk, the way that they act? Because you find children even talking back at people, maybe even certain kind of disrespect, and parents are busy asking questions like, where did my child learn this from? He or she never goes out, and there are not a lot of friends, and even myself as a parent, we don't do this in front of the child. So where did he or she actually learn this from? Forgetting that there was actually maybe a phone in their hands that they have been leaving, to that child, and everything is online these days. The thing about the internet is, these days it has become a place where people are becoming very comfortable, and everyone is posting whatever they can, even taking on even trends, and then even harmful trends that they do. And some children might see that and not fully understand, and even try to imitate or even try to copy. And what if they end up in danger? What if they end up in harm simply because they are trying to imitate something that they saw online, right? So while some people might be asking questions, I don't believe my child could ever do this, or I don't know where they saw it from. How about we question the phones that we are handing over to these children unsupervised? So call in and let us hear from you. And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you. This morning on the Speed Lane, we are talking about children and phones. Why are children actually using phones early these days without supervision? Hello? Without supervision. And then others say that times are changing, and then children need to learn about technology early, but then without supervision. Really, is that really safe? We had to ask, like, is that safe? Are children ready to actually handle what they see online and even interpret them the right way? Because screens expose them to content that they may not understand, from videos and games to social media, and even exposing a child. Hello?
Hello.
Yes, good morning.
Yes, you are talking. This is Comrade Ahmed Musa from North Bank.
Welcome to the show, Comrade Ahmed Musa.
Yeah, thank you very much. Please, before I go, please, always when you are calling this number, always call it in a slow motion, because we elderly people, we can't follow up your speed numbers.
All right, I take that. I'll call it slow from now on.
You see, let us call a spade a spade. The reason for this is that it's the fault of our we parents. Because we so much love our children nowadays, so much that we don't even care what they do. Even though they are doing the wrong thing, we keep on looking at so that they will not cry. How can a parent, you see that a girl of 9 years, you buy a big phone for her or him. Okay. And when they see all those pornography inside the film, they will like to practice it. And I could remember in Otukpo, a woman, her vehicle breaks down with a child in her lap. She was the one driving the motor. She couldn't start the motor. So when we came to help her to push the motor, we asked her to drop this child on the seat. He said, no, he will cry. I said, madam, you are not ready to come out from here then. So I said, everybody move out, because of the love you have for the child. So you see a woman or a man telling her daughter, oh, Junior, you see, the child will say, I will break this television, I will break this television. You see, we will break it, and then the woman will say, John, you see what you have done? You won't watch television again. So the love is too much nowadays. You can't teach, or rather beat somebody's son up for wrongdoing. The mother or father will come after you. So that is the problem we are having in this present society. When we were young, when a neighbor beat us, you come and report to your father. The father will ask you, what have you done? If you see that what you are doing is wrong, he will beat you again. But that is not happening now because of the love. Junior, senior, this and that. I love you. Please. This is what is happening in our society now. It is the fault of our parents, not any other thing again. The love is too much. We love our children so that you don't even see any fault from them any longer. So a woman will give her son or the other a phone to play with.
Okay.
If she say no, cry will start. Oh, so don't cry, have it. You see that a woman will buy phone or a man will buy phone more than 4 times a year. Because the child will break it, he will go and buy another one again.
Okay.
So that is the problem. It's the fault of we parents. Nothing else. So that is my submission.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Comrade Musa, for calling in to be part of the show this morning. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host on the show this morning. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior, and we are talking about children and phones. Why are we allowing our children to use phones early these days, unsupervised? You know, that is the problem, without supervision, right? These days, it's everywhere you look. Little children holding smartphones, scrolling through videos, playing games, sometimes even on social media platforms. They are too young to understand. Parents say, I just want to keep them busy. You know, times are changing. Children need to learn technology early. And yes, the world is changing. But is this really the best way for our children to go? Think about it. When children get access to phones, you know, without supervision, they're exposed to content they might not understand. And sometimes they try to copy what they see. It could be the way someone talks. It could be the way someone behaves, or even the gestures they use. Parents notice it and ask, where did my child learn this from? What about the phones that they have been handed, you know, over and over unsupervised? What can we say about that? Do you think that this is actually affecting our kids negatively? Do you think that it has no effect at all, or it has no negative effect at all, and it's no cause for concern at all? Call in and let us hear from you this morning on the Speed Lane. And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. And if you have just joined us, this is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And if you still didn't get the contact for you to call, it's 080 8427 5464. That is the contact for you to call to join in on the show this morning. We are talking about children and phones. And we are also streaming live on Facebook on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM Makudi. And you can also, watch live from there, or also actually join in to also leave a comment. And we got this comment from Madam Memshima, and she says, for me, everything has become digital, from school assignments and making them believe they can make money on social media. Parents creating contact with them, and we are no longer allowing them to grow as normal kids. Most time, we find ourselves giving these gadgets because we want to be free. Now, this is what we have been talking about, right? Remember, we have been saying how, okay, parents actually I want this filter, and it's actually understandable that as a parent, you want to be left alone sometimes. You know, kids are a handful to actually deal with. But then when we leave these gadgets, you know, to them unsupervised, then is there a problem? Or how do you see it? Is there a problem or not when it's unsupervised? When you just dash it to them, you don't know what they are doing. You don't know what they are going through. Is it actually safe? Or are there things that we can actually point to and then say, okay, this is a problem? Hello?
Good morning, ma'am.
Yes, good morning. Tell us your name and where you're calling from.
James Wendy from Gomaruka.
What's your name again?
James Wendy.
All right. Welcome to the show, James. Go on. Okay. Well, you can still call us back, James. Number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you this morning. We are talking about children and phones, and why are we actually leaving children to use phones early these days, even unsupervised? And most people are talking about, well, this is from how it comes from, okay, the parents even wanting their alone time, wanting to actually be free, wanting at least, you know, that space to breathe sometimes, and then leaving them. But then is it actually safe to do that, to completely allow the children to actually grow from what they see on screens, unsupervised, without someone to actually interpret, okay, this is what this actually means, this is how this cannot take something like this seriously. Now we can understand, some parents actually go to some levels of, okay, I want to do it, but I want to do it safely. So you hear them, okay, get phones for their kids, but limit the kind of things that they have, the kind of access, the kind of content that actually comes to the screens of their children, or even look out for varieties of other toys. But one thing again is that the way children are becoming smart these days, most of them, how we used to agree and accept toys, if someone just even bring, okay, a toy, those kind of toys that you could dismantle, or even toy cars, then a child was distracted. But these days, it takes more than that too. It takes more than that. And we give them those training ourselves. But then, is it safe? Call in and let us hear from you. Number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you this morning on the speed lane. And when we talk about how this actually affects us, actually affects the children, when we give them phones to actually use unsupervised, early at that age where they don't know maybe how to even interpret some of this content the right way, then how we can actually affect them. We talk about them spending less time playing and then reading or even interacting with family, because all the time you're looking for how to use the junior, because I believe that's like the popular name people like to maybe refer to children. I don't even know where that came from, but then okay, back to the point. You don't care where junior is no longer playing, or junior doesn't want to come close to you, or doesn't even want to eat together with the family again, because he would rather hide somewhere and then play with the phone, or he would rather play with his phone than even talk to people outside. So what about their social skills, or even talk to his own siblings, because he's too interested in whatever he is doing in that phone to interact with people outside. And when we talk about them glued there instead of interacting with people outside, then social media is really interesting. The internet is really interesting. You see a lot of things that you would not see everything at once in your doorstep. All of them is shown to you. But then, as a child, there are different stages of how you should actually learn something. And then when you're learning adult things, as a child, it becomes a problem. It is okay for an adult to actually learn adult things, but then when it's exposed to even a child, and a child is learning what he should have learned as an adult. Hello.
Gentleman is calling back.
Yes. Good morning. Welcome to the show. You said James?
Good morning. It's James Wendy.
All right. Welcome back to the show.
Yeah, thank you, man. My worry of saying is true, because is some parents, because you know that especially women, when they leave them with their child from house, they cannot say the truth, something that they want to say with child. When a woman can drop the phone, then a child can come and carry this phone. Anything, they cannot do anything. We help them or they do something on Facebook. When they carry the phone to those who pay that. So is
okay. All right. Thank you so much, James Wendy, for calling in to be part of the show this morning. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And I'm your host on the show. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. And this morning we are talking about children and phones. And you also can call in to be part of this conversation. And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. And James is also saying, this is something that affects our children, because when you actually give them those phones, sometimes maybe blindly and thinking, okay, they probably don't know what they are doing and they are just touching and then keeping themselves busy. Some child have already gone to some social media handles and are already seeing what people are doing there. And these days, social media, the internet is not completely a safe space for a child to actually be, because people are going wild. People are going careless. People are posting whatever they like. And you start asking questions. How do my child know that, okay, you're supposed to wear a kind of skirt that is revealing your thighs, you're supposed to do this, or you're supposed to do something like this? You're supposed to talk back to your parents when they are always indoors. How about the phones that we hand over to them? And then we talk about other ways that they affect them, and I spoke about spending less time with family, spending less time playing or even interacting, socially. And something else I'll talk about is imitating inappropriate behavior or even language from videos and even apps. You start wondering, how is my child saying these vulgar words? I never use them. Where did they learn it from? Where did they get this kind of vulgar words that they're always talking about? How about the phones? How about it's time we pay more attention? If you cannot maybe take these phones away from them, if you cannot maybe stop them from completely using it, how about paying more attention and then supervising what they are actually saying? Not allowing them to go and hide in one corner and then using those phones, but actually making sure that you're probably always listening to whatever the sound that is coming from that phone, and making sure that, as children, there is this thing where they feel like, okay, they can be smart, they can actually hide and do something like this. But the only way that will get past you is when you are not paying attention, because no matter how smart a child can be, if you pay close attention, then you notice that there is something fishy, because at that age, no matter how secretive or no matter how tricky they might try to be, you will notice maybe even in the body language that something is fishy or something is not right. Maybe not even knowing what is not right at that point, but you should be able to tell that, okay, my child is acting up this way. It means that he is hiding something. Now it's now on your part as the parent to actually look for what that child is hiding. My child usually uses my phone, in my presence, but today he would rather hide in his room and even refuse to eat just to be on that phone. So call in and let us hear from you. And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. This is the Speed Lane on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And this morning we are talking about children and phones. So call in and let us hear your opinion. Let us hear how it affects them. Let us also hear what we can do better, going forward. Hello? Hello? Okay, it's really quiet over there, but then you can still call us back and be part of the show. And then something else, we'll talk about developing dependency on screens, for attention and entertainment. And something that some people might argue about, that even as the parent, it can actually affect you as a parent, because you're getting used to not paying attention to that child, because he or she is comfortable with using that screen. He can take care of himself just looking at the screen, right? He or she is happy with that, and then you don't have to pour in any amount of maybe you don't have to pour in too much stress to maybe actually control. Where are you going to? Why do you look down? You're supposed to be playing, you're supposed to do this, you're supposed to do, and at some point you get used to not telling that child what to do, or you just say, okay, they are growing and they are getting to know some things with age. And you stop even asking those questions. Where are they learning these things that they are learning from? And as a parent, at first, it could be something beautiful that you're getting your child maybe to become smart, and then to actually learn some of those things on their own. But then what about when the bad stuff actually comes and then even get more than the good stuff? And then we keep asking these questions of, these days, parents of before are trying to counter this whole thing of phones. And even when you say you are sick, or even when you say something, you have a headache, maybe your mom will tell you it's because of that phone you're looking at. It's because of that phone. That is why your leg is paining you. Because, some parents on their ends are trying to actually break that cycle. But then why not start from the little children? Because they are the ones that we actually have to teach that the most, to ensure that they don't grow up maybe with a certain habit when they don't know that this is time for the phone, or this is time for play, or you're actually supposed to relate. Because some things might not have been bad, but then without balance, without actually trying to make sure that it's not going too far, or it's not going to a point where it's unsupervised, and then the kids are feeding on some of those things on the screens that are not correctly okay. Hello? Okay, we cannot hear you, but you can still call us back. And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. And this morning on the Speed Lane, we are talking about children and phones. And we have been asking, why are children using phones early these days without supervision? And then we spoke about, how it comes from maybe parents, and people rely on, technology and phones to actually make sure that children are entertained and maybe not even bothering the parents. Because to be honest, children can be a handful to deal with, and you as a parent, sometimes you also need your own breaks because you are a human being as well, and you need that, right? But then we also spoke about how it affects them, when they get to even see some of this misleading content and misinterpret it the wrong way. So now what can we actually do? Is the solution to just stop children, from using phones, like avoid completely giving them when they have already gotten a taste of, okay, this is how it is? Or even you as a parent, do you stop taking those breaks and maybe just focus on your child 2/7? Remember what we termed this? It's using that phone unsupervised without the parents actually checking what is going through there. So instead of maybe leaving these phones to the children and then saying, well, do whatever you like, play whatever games, go on social media, do anything you like, why not actually supervise and say, this is the only thing that you can use, this is the only app that you can actually touch, or even making provisions for their own personal phones that they can actually use. Hello. And you also can call in and let us hear from you. We have spoken about why, we have talked about how it affects them. So tell us, what do you actually think that we can do better, as parents, as communities, as a society, to ensure that it doesn't get to a point where the phones take away our children from us? Call in and let us hear from you. And the number for you to call is 0808 427 5464. That is 0808 427 5464. Call in and let us hear from you this morning. What do you think we can actually do better? And I was talking about, taking the phone away from the child, or we have gotten to a place where, okay, we are in a digital age, right? And then some of these things, while they can be unavoidable, we can actually be able to manage how these children use them, or even get appropriate devices for them. Because the way that things are now, how back then toys were always toys and would not have anything maybe quite entertaining. Children are no longer getting entertained with just those toys that are not making noise, have nothing to show on the screen. So but then there are still provisions for appropriate devices, for their age, phones that actually, or these tabs that we have actually seen for their own ages, where they can view content, that are equivalent for their own age, specific for their own kind of age, and not the adult content. Or even if you're getting them, phones that are meant for adults, why not paying more attention, and guiding to make sure that, okay, they're actually viewing the appropriate content. Some people say, well, I don't want my child to feel like I am watching him or her. I don't want my child to feel like, well, they should not cry. Just like someone mentioned earlier, the child should not cry. Some children actually refuse to eat these days because maybe they are not getting phones, throw tantrums. If you don't give me the phone, I am not going to eat, because they're probably seeing it somewhere that a Western child was throwing tantrums. Well, I'm not going to eat if you don't give me this phone. And they thought it appropriate to actually do it in the African setting as well. And then I was talking about allowing them to enjoy, technology, but don't let it to actually replace their learning, their play, and even real life interaction. And also another thing that would actually help is making sure that there is time for everything. That child should not be able to tell you that, well, this is what I want to do at this time. You set the rules for them, right? You set that, okay, this is time to eat, and they stick to it. And when it's time to eat, it's time for hands-off phone, right? And when it's time to play or time to actually interact with other people or to actually learn, then it's time for hands-off phone as well. And you cannot use certain apps, seeing to it that they don't install certain apps on their phones or on the phones that you actually give to them, because it's not them who do the installing, you're the one who actually does that. So seeing to it that there are no certain apps that are going to maybe mislead them or make them to actually view content that might end up even doing some damage, to them. Seeing to it that those apps are just right, on the phone, and also maybe getting those appropriate devices. And the most important thing amongst all, hello, the most important thing amongst all is that supervision, right? Because we have been talking about how we are allowing children to use phones early these days without supervision. And the problem is that supervision, because when you're not supervising, you don't know what they're viewing, you don't know what they're doing, and one day you'll be asking questions like, where did my child learn this from? How did my child think of the idea to actually do something this dangerous to themselves? They probably saw it from a trend that someone did, and then they felt it was okay to for them to actually do some pranks like that. Or why did my child start speaking in this kind of language? Where did he or she learn this kind of language from? But then it actually boils down to what they were seeing on the screens, while you were away, while you are maybe sleeping. And not to say you're not supposed to sleep, but how much are you actually doing to make sure that okay, they are not viewing the wrong thing? And while you can actually sleep peacefully, you make sure that, okay, the devices that you're handing over to them, they're actually secure. They are not full of contents that are going to mislead them, or they're actually appropriate for their ages, right? Because the appropriate devices for their age comes with contents that are only appropriate for their ages. And at this point, we have come to the end of the show today on the Speed Lane. And we have been talking about children and phones, right? Why we allow children actually use phones early these days without supervision. And I hope that you've gotten something to actually take, away from here, because perhaps the issue isn't just the screens, it's how we as parents and communities choose to guide our children, on how to use it, how to go about it. And I've been with you on the Speed Lane. My name is Marysyntia Hangeior. Also coming up next at 10 a.m. is King James 90s Top 10. Right here on Asking Radio 98.5 Speed FM. And until then, keep enjoying music of your life.
Hello, my Cudi. Asking Radio is here.